Hi, I'm Christina Nelson, and I'm a program manager with Reading Partners Sacramento. Today, I'm going to read aloud to you Miss Nelson is Missing by Harry Allard and James Marshall. I want to take this moment to thank Houghton Mifflin for allowing me to do this read aloud. As I'm doing my read aloud today, I will be pausing and giving us think time and asking questions to make sure that we're following along with the story. After you get a few moments of your own think time, I'll share my thinking with you. So let's get started. Miss Nelson is Missing by Harry Allard and James Marshall. The kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. Spitballs stuck to the ceiling. Paper planes whizzed through the air. They were the worst behaved class in the whole school. Let's stop and think here. Why does the author say that the kids in room 207 are the worst behaved class in the whole school? Well, I think it's because there are spitballs stuck to the ceiling and paper planes whizzing through the air. I know that these are both things that should not happen in a classroom. Now settle down, said Miss Nelson in a sweet voice. But the class would not settle down. They whispered and giggled. They squirmed and made faces. Hey, there's a good word, squirm. Do you know what it means? If so, great. If not, that's okay. Squirm means to twist or not be able to sit still. As you're listening to this read aloud, you should try squirming around a little bit. They were rude even during story hour, and they always refused to do their lessons. Something will have to be done, said Miss Nelson. All right, here's another good pause. Let's stop and think. How does Miss Nelson feel about her class misbehaving? I think she's pretty upset with how her class is behaving. I can tell that she's upset because she is frowning in the pictures, and she also says that something will have to be done. The next morning, Miss Nelson did not come to school. Wow, yelled the kids. Now we can really act up. They began to make more spitballs and paper planes. Today, let's just be terrible, they said. Not so fast, hissed an unpleasant voice. Let's stop and think here. How do the kids feel about Miss Nelson not being at school that day? By looking at the pictures, I can tell that the kids are pretty pleased that she is not there. And also, I can tell that they're happy because they say that they can really act up and really be terrible. A woman in an ugly black dress stood before them. I'm your new teacher, Miss Viola Swamp. And she rapped the desk with her ruler. Where is Miss Nelson? asked the kids. Never mind that, snapped Miss Swamp. Open those arithmetic books. Miss Nelson's kids did as they were told. Let's stop and think here. Why are the kids suddenly doing what they're told? Why are they no longer misbehaving? I think it's because that Miss Swamp is strict. She rapped the desk with a ruler and she snapped at them. They could see that Miss Swamp was a real witch. She meant business. Right away, she put them to work, and she loaded them down with homework. Let's stop and think, how is Miss Swamp different than Miss Nelson? Well, right away we can see that Miss Swamp is stricter than Miss Nelson. She makes the kids do their work, and she gives them loads of homework to do. We'll have no story hour today, said Miss Swamp. Keep your mouth shut, said Miss Swamp. Sit perfectly still, said Miss Swamp. And if you misbehave, you'll be sorry, said Miss Swamp. The kids in room 207 had never worked so hard. Days went by, and there was no sign of Miss Nelson. The kids missed Miss Nelson. So let's stop and think. How do the kids feel about having Miss Swamp as their teacher? I think the kids are upset that Miss Swamp is their teacher. They look sad, and one little girl even looks pretty scared in the pictures. And they say that they miss Miss Nelson. Maybe we should try to find her, they said. Some of them went to the police. Detective McSmog was assigned to the case. He listened to their story. He scratched his chin. He said. I think Miss Nelson is missing. Detective McSmog would not be much help. All right, why does the author say that Detective McSmog would not be much help? If you're not sure, try this. Think about if you were one of the students and I was Detective McSmog and you came to me saying that Miss Nelson was missing and my response was, I think Miss Nelson is missing. Is that new information? No, you already know that Miss Nelson is missing. So that is not helpful at all. Bringing it back to the story now, Detective McSmog says no new information. The kids already know that their teacher is missing. So I think he is of no help to them at all. Other kids went to Miss Nelson's house. The shades were tightly drawn and no one answered the door. In fact, the only person they did see was the wicked Miss Viola Swamp coming up the street. If she sees us, she'll give us more homework. They got away just in time. Maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson. Maybe she was gobbled up by a shark, said one of the kids. But that didn't seem likely. Sharks, very unpleasant. Here's another good word, unpleasant. Do you know what it means? So, great. If not, unpleasant means not nice or not good. I can tell this because these sharks here, they don't look very nice. Unpleasant is another good word that you can practice using. Try using it once today. Maybe Miss Nelson went to Mars, said another kid. But that didn't seem likely either. I know, exclaimed one know-it-all. Maybe Miss Nelson's car was carried off by a swarm of angry butterflies. But that was the least likely of all. All right, let's stop here and think if we understand what's happening in our story. One way to do this is to retell the story in your own words. You can do this by saying, first, this happened, next, then, and after that. If you get confused or you're not able to do that, I encourage you to reread. That's a good strategy. Today, though, you can rewind and go back and listen to the part that you last remember and then listen on from there. Once you get back to this point, try retelling the story again and see if you're able to do it successfully this time. So let's continue on. The kids in room 207 became very discouraged. It seemed that Miss Nelson was never coming back, and they would be stuck with Miss Viola Swamp forever. They heard footsteps in the hall. Here comes the witch, they whispered. Hello, children, someone said in a sweet voice. It was Miss Nelson. Did you miss me? She asked. We certainly did, cried all the kids. Where were you?" "That's my little secret," said Miss Nelson. "How about story hour?" "Oh, yes," cried the kids. Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour, no one was rude or silly. "What brought on about this lovely change?" she asked. "That's our little secret," said the kids. Back home, Miss Nelson took off her coat and hung it in the closet, right next to an ugly black dress. When it was time for bed, she sang a little song. "I'll never tell," she said to herself with a smile. All right, let's stop and think. What does Miss Nelson mean when she says, "I'll never tell"? I think that Miss Nelson is talking about her secret, the fact that she is actually Miss Viola Swamp. I know this because you can see the ugly black dress that Miss Viola Swamp was wearing earlier in this story. It's here in Miss Nelson's closet. And also, it says so in the words. There's an ugly black dress. And another clue I used, if you remember back to when the kids were looking for Miss Nelson, they go to Miss Nelson's house, and who but do they see walking up to Miss Nelson's front door is Miss Swamp. So those are the clues that I used to figure out that Miss Nelson is trying to teach those kids a lesson by being Miss Swamp. P.S. Detective McSmog is working on a new case. He is now looking for Miss Viola Swamp. The end. I hope you enjoyed this story. As you think about this story, go back and reflect on the clues that you use to figure out that Miss Nelson is Miss Swamp. And you can also think about, was this a good lesson for the kids in 207 to learn? Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to this read aloud today. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did. Stay tuned for more Reading Partners Read Aloud videos.